If Section GG feels confusing when you're new to MDS, you are not alone. A lot of the confusion comes from one simple issue. Different assessments use different Section GG assessment periods. Once you understand which time window you're coding from, Section GG starts to make a lot more sense. The biggest mistake new MDS nurses make is assuming every Section GG item uses the same lookback. It doesn't. For admission-related assessments, you're trying to capture the resident's usual performance at the beginning of the stay. For other assessments, especially IPA or discharge, you're often looking at the last 3 days tied to the ARD or discharge endpoint instead. For admission-related Section GG coding, the goal is not the resident's best day, worst day, or therapy-optimized day. The goal is the resident's usual performance at the beginning of the stay. CMS guidance for admission coding emphasizes the start of stay functional picture, and the assessment should reflect that early baseline rather than a later, improved performance after interventions have already changed the picture. For a standalone admission MDS, the lookback period for sections GG0130 and GG0170 is the first 3 days of the stay, beginning with the entry date in A1600. This is the window you're using to determine usual performance for the admission coding. Think, admission date plus 2 days. For a 5-day assessment, remember that PPS means Prospective Payment System. These MDS determine the facility's reimbursement for the stay. The lookback period for self-care and mobility items is still the first 3 days, but it now hinges on the start of the most recent Medicare stay, A2400B. That distinction matters because for PPS, the stay's beginning point is tied to the Medicare Part A stay. When the admission, OBRA, and 5-day, PPS, are combined, Section GG follows the PPS start point. That means the first 3 days begin on the Medicare start date, A2400B. This is why the admission and 5 days are so important. They establish the resident's baseline, their early functional picture. On the PPS side of things, Section GG is also tied to Medicare and SNF quality reporting processes. Section GG also feeds SNF payment methodology through the functional score framework used under PDPM, otherwise known as the patient-driven payment model. All this to say, weak early documentation can create problems far beyond just one section of the MDS. For an interim payment assessment, or an IPA, the Section GG assessment period shifts. You are no longer capturing admission baseline. Instead, you are looking at the last 3 days of the assessment window, which includes the ARD and the 2 previous calendar days. This is one reason it is so important not to use an admission mindset on every assessment. For other OBRA assessments, including quarterly, annual, significant change in status assessment, and significant correction assessments, the Section GG observation period also follows the last 3 calendar days ending on the ARD. So again, you're using the ARD plus the 2 previous calendar days, not the first 3 days of the stay. For discharge coding, the focus changes again. Now you're trying to reflect the resident's functional status as close to the end of the stay or the end of Medicare coverage as possible. So discharge is not an admission baseline question at all. It is an end of stay picture. For a Part A PPS discharges, whether standalone or combined, the Section GG discharge window is the last 3 calendar days of the Medicare Part A stay. That includes the Medicare end date, A2400C, plus the 2 previous calendar days. For a standalone OBRA discharge assessment, the Section GG assessment period is the last 3 days of the stay, ending with the discharge date in A2000 and including the 2 prior calendar days. If you want a quick memory tool, use this. Admission equals first 3 days, IPA and most non-admission OBRA assessments equal ARD plus 2 previous days, discharge equals the discharge or Medicare end date plus 2 previous days, and a few Section GG items follow their own rules, including 7-day or prior functioning logic. The safest way to code Section GG is not from one therapy note, one CNA note, or one observation. Build the picture from multiple sources within the correct assessment window. That is how you get closer to the usual performance instead of an isolated performance. If you're new to MDS, just know that Section GG gets much easier once you understand which time window you're actually coding from. That is why strong admission workflow matters so much. If you want, I've linked my skilled admission review checklist below. It's designed to help you organize the documentation you need prior to coding. You can also check out our tools at 5starmdsnavigator.gumroad.com.